AI is will it replace people? I don't think it will. But it will, well, will it replace the broker? No, not necessarily, but it will replace probably the guy or girl who is writing your investment highlights, perhaps. Or it'll be a tool for them to do their job that much more efficiently. That's how I like to think of AI, as not, the big scary thing that is here to take everybody's jobs. It's a tool to make you more productive.
Hi, I'm Adam Gower, founder of GowerCrowd.com, where we help real estate syndicators find more investors. Welcome to the Easy Win AI Real Estate Show, exploring AI's impact on the real estate industry. Each episode offers practical tools, competitive AI strategies, and expert insights. For essential news and updates, visit easywin.ai and sign up for our free newsletter with actionable how-tos like how I added hours to my day by creating this clone of me you're watching and listening to right now. easywin.ai, the only newsletter you need on real estate and AI.
All right, back to the real meat. My guest today is Stash Geleszinski, who is a managing director at Cushman & Wakefield, but more importantly, he is the founder of Needle.us, Nedl.us, that helps primarily brokers these days. Though I do think he's got a broader audience going after multifamily sponsors as well, but primarily brokers. Guy's platform helps with some degree of accuracy predict when multifamily properties are ripe for listing. Oh my goodness me. He's narrowed it down to some key signals that identify the likelihood that an asset is going to go on the market so that you can get a competitive head start. Goodness gracious me, you're going to learn all about that and how to access it, how it works in today's show. If you've not already done so, go to easywin.ai, sign up for our newsletter. We're in the process of revamping it. It's going to be even better than it ever was. For the time being, it is about news and updates in the commercial real estate world as it intersects with AI, and lots of how-tos and other educational stuff that you can actually use. All right, enough of that. Over to Stash Geleszinski of Needle.us. Fascinating fellow, here he is. Let's find out more about how to get a competitive edge while looking for multi-family investment opportunities. Stash, what a pleasure meeting you. Thanks so much for joining me. I saw your profile on LinkedIn. I've been like obsessively dialing in on LinkedIn recently. I've been doing these mega sprints every morning. And I noticed your profile specifically because you talk about multifamily, big trigger item. You also talk about AI. So let's just spin back. Tell me a little about you're a long-time multifamily investment sales guy, aren't you? And you've set up this right. Platform Needle.us. So tell me your story a little. What you've been doing and how did Needle come about?
For sure, yeah. So I mean, the short long story is I've been brokering in one capacity or another since about 2008. And, over my career, basically, the job of broker is to go out and make hundreds of cold calls a day, especially when you're brand new, in the hopes that, you get somebody on the right day at the right time that is ready to sell, and they'll send you financials, right? And it doesn't work that way. You got to hit them multiple times and prove that you're worthy, especially as the market has gotten more competitive. So I was using a CRM system, and it was great because it captured all these data points, but it only looked in the rear view mirror. And so I remember I was walking from my car to the office one day. Parking lot was like a block away. And I was like, these thoughts had been ruminating in my head. And I was like, man, what if we could take all these data points and use them to look forward and try and figure out which deal is going to trade, maybe even before the owner knows that they're ready to sell.
Hmm.
And so, because when I first got started, it's like, man, there's all this data here, but you couldn't really make sense of it. And as I became more proficient in what to look for, and as I was underwriting deals, I could also see that the owners were prepping their properties for sale. Like the occupancy it would increase, the rental rates would increase. They would try and maybe trim up expenses. When you have a loan maturity, that's a dead giveaway that something's got to be
Hmm.
done. Um, so the thought was, what if you could use data and analytics to predict real estate transactions? And so I had a friend come to me who happens to be head of data and analytics for a large firm here in town. And he's like, "Hey, my partners and I want to buy real estate." He had a whole pitch deck and everything, and I was like, "Well, what about this?" And I pitched him on the idea. And he's like, yeah, I think we can do that. And let me talk to my other partners. And a week later, the three of us were having lunch, and they're like, "Yeah, this thing has legs." And I about fell out of my chair because I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" Like nobody, like I talked to my partners about my brokerage partners, and they're kind of, "That'll never work," or I had spec some money on it, and the guy that did, he was running a Python class, and I was like, I don't have the bandwidth or ability to go out and learn Python, but here, can you see if there's something there? And he's like, yeah, there's something there, but he kind of just left it there. It was just a paid project for him. So we started, um, uh, with just, we ingested 10 years worth of transaction history and rental rates and occupancies into a model and started churning out leads. And I would get Excel spreadsheets and I'd have, maybe 20 leads on a sheet, and 7 or 8 of them would be somehow in play. They would be listed under contract. I was valuing it. A competitor would have it on the market. Like somehow it was in that transaction continuum. So it's like, oh, we're onto something. So we went about building a platform, sourcing, uh, nationwide data, and we actually just came to market last week. So we're
Oh,
excited to be out and about and talking to people officially
well,
about it.
very cool. I'm very glad to be here so soon after your launch.
Yeah.
What are the signals, Stash, that you're using to predict when an asset is going to be closed? You mentioned a few things, really interesting. Sudden rush in rental rates, sprucing up the exterior. I don't think you said that, but what do you what are the signals
Yeah, I mean,
mining for? Mm.
for sure. Yeah. So the things that we're paying attention to, like I said, are on the subject property, the change in rental rates, the change in occupancy. It could be increase or decrease. Like there was a big property here in town that went back to the lender,
Where are you
and
actually,
instead of
Stash?
the
Sorry,
the
Stash, where are you?
I'm in Cincinnati.
Okay.
I'm in Cincinnati.
And it went back to the lender. You were giving me the example.
Um, yeah, yeah. So in that case, the rental rates, I think, were probably staying flat, if not decreasing, but the occupancy fell off a cliff.
How are you using AI? The summary says a pioneering Needle is let's see, pioneering data analytics firm that leverages AI and machine learning to bring innovative
Yeah.
solutions. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we're really using true machine learning. So, the more that you reinforce the model by saying, yes, this owner is actually interested in transacting, that's going to recognize those signals that we are picking up on, and reinforce it to say, okay, if you have other properties that are exhibiting similar characteristics, those are more likely to move forward in the pipeline as well.
And so, what are those signals? I'm sorry, I cut you off when I asked you where you were, but I really would like to know more
Yeah.
signals.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're looking at the changes in rental rates and occupancies, things. So, again, what I have seen in my my brokerage career is that you'll see a trend in the T12, from the T12 to the 6 to the 3 on an annualized basis. You'll see the income increase. And that's a sure sign that they're getting ready for some sort of capital event, either a refinance or a potential sale. So it's recognizing things like that. It's also, how is the subject property doing as compared to its competitor set? Because you can see that if, maybe the subject property was, in a value add case, if the subject property is way below on rental rates and then it's come up, it's become up towards market, and they're probably tuning it up for a sale. So I think a lot of people think of AI as, ChatGPT or Gemini, things like that. We're not so much using those large language models, but more so looking at the patterns in the data and then using that to help predict future transactions.
Fascinating. So what have been I mean, it's a very ambitious thing that you've done here. I mean, you mentioned Python. And I mean, normally I make the joke for that one guy that doesn't know what Python is, but I will say that for the 99.9% of people that probably don't know what Python is, you're not talking about a snake. You are talking about some kind of code, incidentally, that ChatGPT is constantly trying to get me to install on my computer and run whenever I ask it questions. And I've not succumbed to the temptation yet. It gives me all the code, and I was like, no, just give something. Let's try another path to the answer here.
Right.
But what have been the big challenges, Stash, that this ambitious project setting this? Tell me the story of setting Needle up, and how have you got to the launch? What have been the challenges and accomplishments?
Yeah, I mean, the road of entrepreneurship is full of challenges. First was just proving, can this be done? And I mentioned we validated that you can. Once we got those first initial hits, it's like, okay, we're definitely onto something. So then we said, okay, well, where are we going to source, or original organic data that we can then go out and resell? So just finding a data feed has been a challenge in and of itself. And then it's determining, okay, there's a couple of different places that you can get it from, which is going to be the most economical and who's going to work with us, as well as, well, what are the publicly available data sources that we can tap into to be able to bring those things into the model. Then once you have a feed, so to speak, it's then what I have referred to lovingly as sewing together and then ironing out all the data, all the different sources. And because so I think I did a podcast yesterday, and the guys with Property Radar, Sean O'Toole.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he
I know
mentioned
Sean.
there's like,
he's been around for a long time. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah. I forget how many counties he said, but there's like 3,500 counties in the United States. And what I found is that each one, from state to state, they tend to be generally similar, how they're categorizing and what they're capturing as far as data. But, Colorado and their what they're capturing and what their standardized fields aren't necessarily the same as what is in Ohio or California. Or the speed of reporting might be very different from state to state, market to market, county to county. So that sewing together and then ironing out the data to get a workable data set has been a challenge.
This is what your friend has been working on. Is it the programmer, or have you actually worked on this yourself?
No, I'm a little bit dyslexic. I'm best, talking on the phone like this. So,
okay.
No, so we actually have a team of like 15 people that have helped us, UX, UI, data scientists, doing all the hard work to help get us to where we're at today, to have a functional, usable platform that's easy to use. You log in, 2 clicks, and you're at the leads, your lead set, so you can go to work and start calling on them.
So how are you going to use this tool? I mean, it sounds like it's a serious competitive edge for you. Why would you share it? Presumably you have an agenda.
The agenda is to, well, I mean, so that was my first question too. Why would we build this and go sell it to competitors? And my partners were like, "You're going to be so rich that you're not going to have to worry about brokering anymore." I was like, "Okay, I'm in."
Right.
It remains to be seen if that actually plays out, but
Mhm.
that's the hope and the goal. And I like challenging, ambitious projects. Like I've got a bunch of different things going on. I've got Needle, I've got brokerage. I have my own podcast,
Right.
and then I'm doing a development deal as well. So it's like I kind of feel like personally, if I'm not making the most of every single day, that I'm a waste, and I don't want to be that. So, um, but the competitive advantage is I've pulled out several opportunities from the platform myself where I had an instance. Well, it's interesting. I've given some demos to property owners, and I'm like, well, let's see what you have. And one of them, they actually decided to join us on the journey as investors. I pulled up their portfolio, and we had 2 properties that were flagged as hot, potential sale targets, and they're like, yeah, we're actively evaluating both of those right now.
No way, really.
Um, I did it again with a completely unrelated owner. Um, and they had one deal, and they're like, yeah, we're actively trying to sell that one right now. So, the competitive advantage is so the game in commercial real estate brokerage is it's a zero-sum game. Either you get the deal or you don't. Either you get it or your competitor gets it. So if we can position brokers to get in front of transactions before their competitor gets it and either bring an off-market deal or offer that is acceptable to the seller, or
Oh.
position them to win the listing ahead of their competition because they are at the table first, maybe, um, or it gets them at the table on a deal that they wouldn't have otherwise had a clue about.
Mm.
That's what we're trying to do and accomplish with this. Additionally, so some of the challenges is really, who are we going to sell this to? And from the beginning, we're like, okay, well, it's brokers, but it's also acquisition people and asset managers, because the asset manager is going to want to know, why am I getting blown up about this deal? And then commercial mortgage brokers as well. So, um,
Mm.
we're trying to help each one of those professionals in the commercial real estate business be that much more efficient with their transactions and prospecting, if you will.
All right, so I got a bunch of questions for you, Stash. First of all, how do you not seeing the product in front of us?
Yeah.
Maybe what we should do is we
Yeah.
should do a demo at some point. I'm actually lining up a few demos, do a recorded demo. We'll help you get the message out there.
Would
But
love to.
before we do that, on this call,
Yeah.
being just thee and me talking heads as we are, describe, how do you score exit likelihood or sale likelihood? Are you kind of red, orange, green lighting, or how do you
Yeah.
do that on the platform?
Yeah. We call them hot, warm, and cold leads.
Okay.
A hot lead is the highest likelihood to transact. A warm is, and the way that we're looking at it is we're saying, okay, we break the data down into deciles essentially. And if it ranks high in all of these different deciles, that's going to be a hot lead. But if it maybe has a couple of high points and then it's lower, that's probably going to be a warm lead. And then a cold lead will maybe be medium on all of those. And then, those are the lowest likelihood to transact. And that's the point of like the machine learning model, is to be able to better recognize that, okay, well, if this is a cold lead here, we probably don't need to be scoring that going further. But until we get a lot of reps and iterations through it, it's really tough to try and Because it's like, well, it's giving off some of the signals that we think are relevant.
Hmm.
It's still there. So yeah, and the platform has, you can filter between hot, warm, and cold leads. You can filter between year of construction, unit count.
Hmm.
You can subscribe to a single market, a region, or the whole country.
I
And
see.
so the leads that you have displayed will be based on your subscription level. Um,
And it is nationwide then. So you're pulling
yeah.
some massive data sources,
Mhm.
and is it comprehensive of, I'm going to ask a kind of daft question, but you don't mind, right? Dumb questions. Does it cover every multifamily property in the country? Like, how extensive is it?
Yeah, so we've built it around 50 units and up. Me being in the Midwest, you being on the West Coast, there's a little bit of a delta between what each one of those are worth.
Hmm.
I had a demo this morning with somebody from Southern California, and he's like, I love it. I love what you're doing, but our transaction size tends to be like 5 to 20 units. We have a 10 unit deal on the market for 20 million bucks. And I was like, yeah, we just don't have that level of we probably, I know that we have the property level data on that, but the things that we're missing around the rental rates and occupancies and maybe even the loan data, I don't think that we have that yet. So it's or it's maybe not as extensive. So we've built it around 50 units and up.
Okay.
And intend to get down into that lower range. But the smaller you get in property size, the noisier the data gets, and the harder it is to
Yeah.
um,
Well, I was going to say also,
capture.
well, also that once you get small, you've got less sophisticated players who maybe don't know, what to do to prep a sale. And so they're not sending off quite the same signals as a professional seasoned shop, maybe.
Yeah, like I had another call with a new to business broker, and he was concerned with quality of the data,
Mm.
and it's because he was 2 months in. And it's like if I pulled up some of the properties that were in the market that he covered, and if he was almost too new to know what even to look at or look for. I was like, in my mind, I was like, this guy wouldn't know what to do with it if he got it. So,
Well, you so hang on, let
um,
me just jump in here. One of the best
yeah,
ways, so just kind of spitballing a little bit, Stash.
yeah,
But one of the best ways to sell something is to teach people how to use it, for free.
yeah.
So you talk about people that don't know how to use it. Have you thought about doing, training? Like here are the key signals, free training, key signals to identify something. By the way, the good news is we've got a tool you can use.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Um, I suppose, yeah, we definitely could do that.
So how are you
I'm just
marketing?
trying to,
Yeah, let's jump to that then. So you're did you say a week? You're just a week in, aren't you? Just
yeah,
barely started.
yeah, we're brand new.
So how are you
Um,
getting the message out other than talking to Gower, which is probably the last thing you'll ever need to do anyway. It can
I hope so.
skyrocket from here on out. But apart from this conversation, what else are you doing?
So I started my podcast because we went on the podcast circuit about this time last year, last August, September. And one of them I was on, he's like, you would make a great podcast host. And so I plug it at the front end of each one of those. And the conversations are around commercial real estate and prop tech. Um,
Hmm.
we have intentionally kind of gone out to a very small targeted group, those who are the initial beta testers, as well as those who took demos, and we weren't able to onboard them in the beta testing phase because we had closed it at that point.
Okay.
Um, so, and the point of that is to be able to make sure that we're working out any kinks on the onboarding process. But um, the intention is to go out. I went through a revenue accelerator program through a company called GrowthX, and you could think of it kind of as sales school for uh, startups. And what they really helped us narrow in on was, who's your ideal customer profile? Who
Mm.
are they? Who are these groups? And so in our initial marketing efforts, we're going to be focusing on boutique firms, so one-off offices, um, independently owned franchises, um, regional firms, and then what I call super regionals, who have stayed in a defined market territory, and they could have expanded nationally, but it appears as though they've made a very deliberate decision just to stay in Chicago or New York, or on the West Coast, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
because you can get to the decision makers much more quickly that way, as opposed to going and trying to chase, a large, you know, multinational brokerage company. Um,
So what is
that's
your pricing, Stash? What's the pricing? This is a SaaS product, isn't it?
that's right.
Sorry, software as a service. For that one guy
Yeah.
who doesn't know, a SaaS product, which means that you go to the website, and if you like what you see, you subscribe in some way. You pay to use the product. So
Yeah.
tell me something about, first of all, pricing and how you came to decide how to price it, because that's always a challenge. And secondly, you also talked about onboarding. So what
Mhm.
is the process that somebody has to go under? Sorry, that's two very big questions in one. Let's start with
No,
price.
that's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
So
go for it.
pricing, we went and looked at the market and said, okay, well, um, let first we had to do a competitor analysis and figure out, well, who are our competitors? And me having, a career in commercial real estate, I had a pretty good idea of who we were going to be dealing against.
Mm,
And then how do you differentiate yourself? And we were trying to price ourselves, I guess, in the disruptor category, where we're below what they're offering, and we also have a distinct advantage over and above what they're offering.
mm,
So we've priced it on either a market, region, or national basis. Um, right now, given that we're in the early launch, we're offering heavy discounts up front for initial users.
mhm.
Um, and then, we've priced it basically, if you think about, it's one user, one market, the face price will be $299. One user, one region will be $399, and one user, the whole country, will be $499. But
Is
then
that
as you add
over what
additional
period of time, Stash?
per month.
Okay, monthly. Okay.
Yeah. Because if you look at uh the there's one firm out there, I will leave them unnamed because they're notoriously litigious, but if you look at the competitor set, they'll charge you, $1,000 a month just for one market.
So
Um,
what is onboarding then? So now somebody comes to the website, what is the onboarding process? Are you teaching them how to use the platform, or what does that look like today?
Yeah, so I mean, we've tried to make it very user friendly and intuitive. I mentioned you can search with different filters applied, but really to get into it, you log in, you've got a market intelligence page, and then you can which shows you kind of like it's like a dashboard of everything that's happening around the country.
Mm,
And so you can see, trade volume, rental rates, occupancies, you know, things like that, and you can select different markets. You can see different headlines from around the country. But then if you click on the intelligent leads, oh, here's the leads. Here are the leads in the markets that you've subscribed to. And you just click view details. It'll give you the property information. Click on ownership information. The owner's there. Uh, for most of them, we have phone numbers. Some of them we have email addresses for. We're working with a couple of different firms to determine who's going to be uh, helping us to further enrich that data set for ownership and contact information specifically. And then you just make a phone call. It's designed to put you in touch with the people that you need to be in touch with, who are the decision makers behind the properties. So, um,
So how are you planning to get the word out then in terms of marketing? What is your plan and how's that going to roll out? We're in week one, so we've just barely started, but you've got a plan, you've got some ideas. What's on your
Yeah.
horizon? Yeah.
Yeah, so there's going to be, we've got a mass of email addresses and contact information. So we'll have some email campaigns that go out. Um, we'll have, there's things like this going on different podcasts. There's some trade events that we're evaluating, determining whether or not we want to go to them. But it's also like, direct messaging and I'm not sure if cold calling is the right way to do it. Um, but if we've evaluated some smart calling technologies where they'll basically go out and set up appointments for you. But and also through channels like LinkedIn and Instagram as well. So
Instagram, you're kidding, really? Yeah. Which is better for you,
no, I think
Instagram or LinkedIn?
um, it's hard to say because we haven't tested them yet, but I do think that, there's some real estate specific influencers out there that we're exploring
Ah,
conversations with of, if we can get some reps through some of their accounts, um, with some clever memes essentially, where it's like, oh, that's cute, that's clever. Let me check this out. And then you can capture them with the lead funnel. Uh, I think that would be advantageous to us.
are you going to do any paid advertising?
Probably at some point, yeah.
Hmm. But it sounds like you're. It sounds to me like anybody that is interested in multifamily would be interested in this product. So I'm
Yeah.
curious why you've narrowed it down to such kind of a small, highly defined avatar instead of everybody who is interested in buying a multifamily property, which is a lot of people.
Well, yeah, I mean, so the persona that the platform is aimed at right now is for the
Mm,
brokerage persona because they're
okay.
the most likely to get on and want to
Mm,
churn up more deals, especially in today's market. It's been challenging the past 24 months. Um, but we have plans for a future iteration where you have the ownership persona, um, specifically probably for acquisitions and asset managers, because you can kind of lump those two together oftentimes, where we're saying, okay, well, here's your whole portfolio. Here's what we think it's worth. Are you a seller or are you interested in refinancing? Um, and if you click, yes, I'm a seller, that's going to rise you to the top and send out an alert to the users in um, that are subscribed to that market that says, hey, uh, this person has just said that they're interested in selling this property at this price. You
mm,
should reach out. Similarly, we're going to give them, we have a buyer matching capability. Um, So we're going to say, okay, well, based on your current either your current portfolio holdings or what you've told us your acquisition criteria are, here's a hot list of prospective acquisitions. So we've narrowed it down to the brokers because that's who it's built for right now, but we have plans as we continue to grow and evolve. I mean, just getting to the MVP has been a monumental task, and it has
MVP
not
is
been easy.
minimum viable product for that one guy
That's
that
right.
doesn't know what MVP stands for. Right.
Yeah, that's
Minimum
right.
viable product. Yeah, it's a heavy lift, isn't it? Well, congratulations on
Thank
launching
you.
Stash. I'm so happy that we actually managed to connect the week that
Yeah.
you launched. That's particularly fortuitous. And we'll try and get this podcast out quickly for you to
Okay.
benefit that launch. Let me wrap up with three questions. I could keep on asking you, but what I do want to do is a demo. So
Yeah.
when we finish today, let's spend a couple of minutes afterwards just chatting. I've got a couple of things in the pipeline here you might find of interest, but we'll talk about that off mic. For now, I've
Okay.
got three sign-off questions, rapid fire sign-off questions. The first one is, why should real estate professionals be looking at AI today?
I mean, because if you don't, your competitor is going to. I mean, AI is will it replace people? I don't think it will. But it will, well, will it replace the broker? No, not necessarily, but it will replace probably the guy or girl who is writing your investment highlights, perhaps. Or it'll be a tool for them to do their job that much more efficiently. That's how I like to think of AI, as not, the big scary thing that is here to take everybody's jobs. Could come to that, and then we'll all have to figure out what we're going to do. But it's a tool to make you more productive.
Right. Before I tell you the second question, you said something reminded me of something that I saw many, many years ago. I'll keep this story very short because we're just wrapping up. For one reason or another, I was in one of the largest bakeries in the country. It was actually a McDonald's bakery. Not a McDonald's, but a bakery that serviced McDonald's.
Wow.
And they produced like 144,000 gross. It was like unbelievable numbers of buns, for the Big Mac and for the breakfast this and for that. That's all. And at one end of the building, the trucks came in and unloaded all the grain and the this and the yeast and the whatever, all went into silos. And at the other end of the building, all of this stuff came out in boxes, right, ready to be delivered. So the raw materials in one end and the buns the other. And all the staff did, as far as I could tell, was oil the machines. That's all they did. The whole thing was automated. It was listed machine it was the whole factory was just one machine, and that's all they did. So you remind me of that story because when you talk about, well, what will we do? Well, we'll just make sure the power stays on. That's a dust off of stuff. That's all we'll have left to do. All right, let's second question. Sorry, you got me carried away on an old story. Okay, how do you use AI the most frequently? What's your what would you call your power use of AI?
Sure. So, I mean, obviously, I'd be a fool if I didn't say I use Needle, because I do. I use it in my prospecting and, in my business to help drive that forward. But also, with my podcast, I'll just take I'll scrape the guest's profile and website, and I've got one thread that I use for all the podcasts, and I plug that in and I say, give me the best 5 questions or topics to talk with this guest about. And it'll give me that, and I'll send that to them and be like, hey, this is generally what we might cover. Because a lot of people, I think they sometimes get nervous or scared going onto a podcast. So you kind of got to give them a framework. And I have used it too. Here's the next question. Here's the next topic. But then after it's done, I'll take the whole transcript, dump that into AI, into ChatGPT, and that will give me a title, a summary, and a social media post. And, then I also use it for the editing too. And I don't know if this is fully AI. I think it kind of is, but it'll shorten word gaps, remove filler words, and then I trim the front and the back of it. So, I get so many pitches for, hey, I can do your back end work. And it's like, I do it myself.
It doesn't say it long.
And I don't know.
So I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
I use ChatGPT for the same reason. But I'm far less generous than you are. I usually go into a panic. It used to be about half an hour before a podcast. I would then go to the LinkedIn profile, go to the website, start taking some notes. Now I just go to ChatGPT, website, link. Okay, I'm interviewing the founder of this company. Give me a bunch of questions I can ask. And sometimes it's less than 5 minutes as well. Oh my goodness, the guy's on the line waiting for me to open up. And it's instantaneous. You know what? But when you have chats like this, you ask one open-ended question at the beginning, and the whole thing just kind of rolls off. So it gets to be a lot easier.
Oh, for sure. It's not terrible.
Let me ask you the last question here. So my show is the Easy Win .ai show. I've forgotten the whole name of it, actually. Real Estate Easy Win, something or other AI show. Changed the name 6 times, so now I can't even remember my own name. But anyway, the principle is easy wins, right? So how does somebody who's listening or watching this show immediately do something with AI if they've never used AI before, and even if they have, that just gives them a wow experience? Like if you had any eureka, oh my goodness, look at that experiences with using AI.
I think for me, because I'm a little bit dyslexic, I mix things up a lot. And so I'll ask it, hey, give me a summary of this, or give me, the bullet points, boil this down for me, because I don't have the attention span maybe to do it myself. And it will ingest a huge amount of data and then pull out, and then you can ask it subsequent follow-up questions. That for me has been super helpful. So that would be an easy win. And like, you don't even have to pay for, the ChatGPT premium version or paid version, or, I mean, Gemini has one, ChatGPT has the free version. So any of those, if you're just looking to ingest a large amount of data and kind of get to the point, that will do it for you.
Stash Geleszinski, Managing Director, Cushman & Wakefield. Thank you. Oh, and I should say founder. What am I thinking? Needle.us, NEDL.us. Thank you for joining me on the show today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, that was Stash Geleszinski, who is Managing Director at Cushman & Wakefield, a seasoned multifamily investment sales professional. But most importantly today, he is the founder of Needle.us, NEDL.us, as you heard. Isn't it fantastic? I love all of this new technology. It is mind-blowing. It is changing the world that we live in the commercial real estate world. And thank you so much for being a part of this, excuse me, incredibly exciting new development, new world that we live in. Just by listening to this podcast, you're putting yourself at the forefront of everything that's going on. Stash, thanks for joining me. Really, really happy to meet you, and I look forward to doing the conference with you. And dear viewers, thank you too for joining me today. Go to easywin.ai if you've not already signed up for the newsletter. It's totally free. You can always unsubscribe. It's super awesome. I spend a lot of time on it. We get incredible open rates and engagement click-through rates. So clearly it is enjoyed and of value. So all there at easywin.ai. And that, my dear friends, is all I have for you this week. Until next time, it's Adam Gower signing off.